All right, everybody. So, welcome to Legacy's Journey, where we are talking about creating what outlives you. Of course, I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies. The guest that I have for y'all today, I'm excited about this one because this guy, he's not going to take credit, but he could because he is the person who was responsible for the first mega wave of success that we had as a company. Um, Cameron Montgomery of Apex Methods is here. So I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. And I gotta say, I can't take I can't say that I'm responsible for it. I'd say you're responsible. I
I
just
told you.
help put the right things in place.
All right, he's as you can see where this is gonna go. But no, so I'm excited to have you on. So first off, tell the people what do you do, who do you help, and when did you start the company?
Yeah. So for me, I have a coaching and consulting business. Started the business back in 2019. Been doing it for a little over 4 years, and basically super niche down. Help bookkeepers, accountants, and tax pros with their online marketing, specifically Facebook organic marketing. So yeah, I've been doing that. We've worked with a little over 420 companies now, and just coaching them through it all, and just helping them with their marketing.
Yeah, and I think I was probably on the front end of that 400
Sure. You are.
because I was like, whoa, 420, that's a lot. But yeah, all right, cool. So let's jump into it. So I'm not gonna say like what makes you different because of course I know you, we've talked, you've helped me plenty, especially when our company took off. So to give y'all context, actually, so I think this would have been 2020.
It was 2020 November, I think.
Yeah.
You're one of
And
my
so
first
you
course clients, actually. But I used to do one-on-one, and you were one of the first ones in the course.
Yeah, and so I just remember he was like, "Hey, I got this course. I think just we talked, of course, and I think at first I told you no. I think at first, right?
Man, I scrolled through months of our conversations to try to get to the top. We talked a lot, so didn't get there. You called me out in the beginning. You're like, "Hey, man, like, don't try to sell." It was something like that. I was just like, "My bad, dude."
And try it, don't try. But I don't know what he said, but some kind of way it came back up, and I was like, you know what? I need something different. Because I had been in a program previously and it just was not working. So I'm like, okay, let me try it. And I'm always the type to be like, let me try it for 90 days, go all in, and I gotta see something. Because back then, I'm not gonna tell what the price was, but for me at that point, it was a lot of money. And I was like, I gotta at least make this back in 90 days. And so I remember going to you and I was like, look, I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I need for this to work, or we gonna have problems. And you were like, just do what I say, just do it step by step, don't skip nothing, go in order, and you're gonna be fine. I'm telling you, it's gonna work. And so I remember, I think over was it like that Christmas break, I like binged everything. Like I was watching it or listening in the car. Cause I remember my wife was like, who is this guy you keep listening to? And I'd explain it. And she was just like, okay, well, and then next thing you know, I mean, the business, y'all, when I say it took off, I know we doubled that year. Um, and then of course we just got cool because we would talk, I'd have questions. So I can't say it works. Can't say that.
Yeah, man, I'd say with your story, because I've talked to thousands and thousands of bookkeepers and accountants, and worked with a little over 400 now. And the way to get it working, and what you did really good is exactly what you said. Like, you just did exactly as it was laid out, like just like step by step, word from word, just trusted the process.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing, right? Like, because I think a lot of people come in with past experiences, past knowledge on some different areas. I think you had tried some ads in the past. So they want to like put their own spin on it. And in order to have success with a coaching program, you have to be coachable, right? And that's some other.
That's good. That's good.
because it's like, if you're not coachable, why are you paying thousands of dollars to be coached? You know, if
And
you want to put your
and to your point, like thousands, like you're not doing this for free or like a charity. And I think that's like the perfect line. Like you have to be coachable because I mean, and I'm sure you said you talked to thousands, you work with at least over 400. And I think, like you said, like some of those people who probably didn't work with you, they probably off the gate, off rip, you saw the flag of like, this is not gonna work. They're already bucking against the system or not coachable. So like explain to us, like, how are you even able to differentiate, hey, this sounds like somebody that I really would enjoy working with. This one may be a 50-50, or this is like a complete, I don't care.
Man, good question. You know, in the beginning when I was starting the business, I knew what I had worked, and I knew because the reason I knew is because I only coach on things that I've had consistent success with, right? So I never coach on concepts. I never coach on theory. Never like, well, hey, I heard this works.
Right.
I only implement it for myself, and if it works consistently, then I do it, right? So it's like that's where my conviction comes from. I know this works, and I know all the ups and downs of the trials that come with it. And so in the beginning, I took that conviction. It's just like, okay, well, any bookkeeper, accountant, tax pro, if they do this, it's going to work for them. And I still stand by that. However, through working with a lot of people, I learned to kind of like look what to look out for, right? And some of those things are, and to have success with the coaching program, you have to be coachable. So if sometimes I'm talking to somebody and they're coming in with no experience, right? They're telling me like I'm struggling, but then I'm telling them like, hey, I've done this for a long time. So where my company's at, we've worked with this many companies, and all of a sudden they start trying to like almost coach me or tell me like why it's not going to work. Like, well, what about this, that, and it's just like, I like, you just told me you have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm trying to like kind of explain like, hey,
Right.
like I've worked with hundreds of people, it's worked for me. You're saying you have no idea, and you're trying to tell me like, well, what, like, well, it doesn't work because of that, or this is better. And it's just like, at that point, I just kind of like ended like, oh, okay, well, if you ever want to know more, let me know. It's just like, it's just not worth it because they're not. Maybe they are down the road. I think they haven't felt the pain enough yet.
Right.
Where maybe they're like starting to feel that they think they kind of know stuff, and maybe they do kind of know, like kind of have an idea of it. But it's the people that I really look to work with is that they're like kind of what you're saying. It's like, all right, hey, I trust the process. Let's go. I want this. And that's another big thing I've learned is you finding the people that want it, not that they like have to do it. It's a want to, not a have to. Right. And those are always the best clients because the have to, they're like, this is a chore. I don't want to do it. For me, bookkeepers and accountants that typically don't like marketing, right? You're kind of an exception. You kind of thrive.
Like it either. It's too abstract. It's like you can do all these things and still not get the result. Whereas like accounting is very, if you do A plus B, you're gonna get to C. It's only it's pretty like right then versus, you were telling me like, hey, you have to consistently post content and you may not get anybody that likes it or says anything. And I'm like, well, why would I do it? And so like just those concepts in and of itself are very abstract for us people who are very logical until you start seeing the results. Like then to your point, like it wasn't like I was getting 80 likes on a post, but when somebody finally did reach out, they're like, hey, I've been watching your content for X amount of time, like a couple of months, and it just really hit me today. And I'd be like, really? I don't remember you liking or commenting. And I would come to you and you'd be like, I'm telling you, this is how it works. They may never say anything, but you have to trust the process, stay consistent, and eventually it'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, because that's the truth. Like you're so right on that. And accountants, like bookkeepers, accounts, that's 1 + 2 always equals 3. In marketing, there's a variable, and what that variable is your audience, right? So today, 1 + 2 = orange. and tomorrow 1 + 2 = 87, right? And so like it's never an exact science, but we can have a strategy and we can always be working towards something. So finding that good client is they have to want it, right? And I'd say this is across the board, anything for what you're doing, for accounting, for advisory, CFO type work. Like they have to want it, because if they don't want it, if they're like, I have to do this, they're always the biggest pain in the butt, right? And because you're forcing, you're dragging them, you're pulling them. But when they want it, it's just like, oh yeah, I can just, let me show you the path, and they're gonna do it, right? So I think the biggest thing, like people who are trying to give you kickback when they're on the call to learn from you, it's like, nah, don't want to work with that person. And then people that are like, oh, I'm excited, yeah, like I really want to do this, slam dunk, but people are just like, oh, it's just like, okay, I don't really want to work with you, but you only get there through working with a ton of people, and you kind of learn.
That's a good point. All right, we gotta transition to the family time. So you said, all right, you've been doing this 4 years. So what did your wife, and by the way, I've talked to his wife, she is so sweet. She just laughs and smiles, at least every time I talk to her. So what did she say when you were like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start my own marketing agency.
Dude, oh man. So Rochelle is super similar. Like she'd be fantastic bookkeeper, right? She's very analytical. She's like really, really like, I'm gonna, take a long time to make these decisions, make sure it's the right decision. And I'm not. I'm just like let's go. Like if I have it, like if I think something's gonna work, I'm just gonna go and find out if it's gonna work, right?
Right.
So at the time, I actually was working for a family business, and my whole, like, that's what I'd done since I was 16. That's what my college was centered around. And that's what my plan was, to retire. Right. And I was actually at the point of taking the business over, and everything was super comfortable, right? Like all insurance paid for, company truck, great salary, great future. Right. And, we had 3 kids at the time. And I was just like, I think I want to do something else. I think I've done this since I was 16. My biggest fear is that I stay in what's comfortable. And at like the end of the day, I'm just like, I didn't even try something else. And I started to hear, like, seeing all these things about consulting, and I just like kind of perked my ears. Right. So I was like, I think I want to do this. So freaked her out. Right. Cause she was just like, we had 3, I mean, at this time there was a newborn, I think a 3 and a 4-year-old. And yeah, and it was like leaving a lot of comfort for something that, who knows, and for me, I was just like, well, I see it, so I'm going to do it. And so it was pretty tough, but at the end of the day, she actually, because I mean, we were making good money, but we weren't making like amazing money. And she actually, for my birthday, bought the program that got me into it on credit card. Right. So it's like, I have her to thank for it, that she surprised me with it. She's like, hey, I believe in you. If you want to do this, go do it. And so from there, it was game on. And I mean, so many ups and downs, but that's what it was like. It was tough. And I think that was actually the easier part. The tougher part was the first year or so, when things weren't as smooth as they are now.
Right.
And where I was so stressed, like just working like crazy. You're working a full-time job and having a business, like so stressed. And, she saw that. So it's like, are you sure you want to do this? But now we're good. Now we got figured out. We got life figured out. I understand like things I got to be sensitive with her. I think that's a big thing. I want her like undying support. Right. And it's all me, support me. Whereas it's like, okay, I need to like be sensitive of like how she is, and that she's not like switching on a dime directions on things. And so I just need to like learn. It's not only is she learning to support me and work through things with me, but it's also, even though I'm the driver of the business, it's me, like she's my life partner. It's me figure like what's her communication style, and not just, right.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep going. So I think you touched on something there. It's one thing for us, because we got a similar situation, to be the ones to receive support. And I know the whole is different for a lot of people, but stay-at-home moms is like, some people think it's the way to go and it's excellent. Some people are like, oh, that's so weird. So how have you found a way to, like you said, give her support back while she's holding it down and keeping the kids out the office and teaching and taking them on trips and to the park and all that stuff? Like, how are you finding different ways to appreciate or support her back?
Man, good question. So like again, we're similar boats. We're stay-at-home mom, and I don't know if you're still homeschooling. But I mean that's a whole it is a whole nother thing, right? And I think our kids are the same age, and I think we're even do the same curriculum. But that's a whole nother thing, right? So it's like, I'm searching for support, and I'm always wanting to talk to her about the business, and she's like, Cameron, I don't like, I used to get mad. It's like, why don't you want to talk about business? And then I think the biggest thing I'm working on, I don't have it figured out, but it's like, I need to let her get things off of her shoulders, right? Every morning we have coffee and that we wake up early. That's like her and I, our time, because our kids go to bed like pretty late. So like our morning, it's our morning time. And I can't help it, man. We start wrestling with the boys, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, we got to get to bed. And I think it's just letting her do her, like, get it out for herself, right? And like, I'm that listener, I'm the supporter for her, because her job's harder than mine, in my opinion. Like her role is tough. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's in the house, where mine, I get to get out and do stuff. I can go work at a coffee shop if I want to. Like, just that is amazing. And so I think it's a work in progress for me, but what I'm working on is I'm not always the one talking. I'm the one supporting, and I'm the one letting her get it out and talking to like have a whole morning we didn't even talk about business. It's just talking about like the family life. But I'm open to suggestions, man.
I don't have it figured out either. That's why I asked. I think about last year, I went to this conference in Costa Rica, and this lady named Sarah, I think her last name is Jenkins, she got up and some kind of way God orchestrated it to where, like, we were going to our room at the same time she was, and she like took an hour out of her time to just sit there and talk to us. And this is a lady who's doing like 8 figures, not 7, but 8. Owner of the company and all of those different things. And one of the things she was even telling Ari, because of course we were both there, she was like, hey, your job is important. So just trying to always affirm, like, hey, because I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, look, I know you try to poo-poo, like, oh, I just stay at home and do daycare. And I'm like, no. First off, nobody can take care of the kids like their own mom. So it ain't like we got to worry about diaper rashes and they're not eating. Like, your own kids. You know what they're being taught. But like you said, like, I couldn't do what I need to do in the business if I didn't have her, because they'd be coming in here 24/7 or crying, or people are sick, or somebody telling on somebody. So like one of the things she suggested, she was like, hire somebody to clean. And I was like, why would you do that? Because we could clean. She's like, think about it. You could, but those 2, 3, 4 hours, you can get that time back and be spending to do family time, especially if the business is in a good enough place. So we like did that. And that was super great for our relationship, because every other Saturday we'd have somebody come and clean the house. And she's like, I didn't have to do it. I'm in a better mood. We can do some fun stuff. So I've been learning on just different ways I can buy back time to continue to spend that family time. Because, yeah, we make this money, but why not use it to help us to continue to make memories and enjoy each other? So that's one of the things that she gave us that we implemented that I think helped tremendously, especially when you start talking about like 2 and 3 floors. Just hire somebody. They'll come in, they do the dishes, they vacuum, they did all the trash. It was amazing.
Man, I love that. Like we've never done that, but it reminds me of hiring a VA for the business. Like
yeah. Kind of same thing.
It's literally like something that most people can do. It's not crazy expensive, and you're just literally buying time, right? Like that's what a VA is. Like it's just, what are these tasks that I can, take a little bit of training, but then they're going to have it. And I'm just paying for time. It's like the same thing, but just for like the home. And
For her. Because see, now
I love that.
I don't have to do the dishes. I don't have to vacuum. I have to worry about the trash. Oh, and so now you get your brownie points, you know. I'm just saying. Just
I will say the boys are getting to the stage where they're going to be those free VAs, my sons, and like scooping the dog poop. I'm like, just realized the other day, it's just like, why are they not? They're old enough. Like they can get out there, go scoop that dog poop. Like, and so I guess that's like more so helping me, not Rochelle, but like now like cleaning and stuff like that. It's just like, you guys are old enough.
sitter, so you can do date night. So I've learned gotta do date night at least once a month. So get you a babysitter, put that in there. But it's so many things. But all right, cool. So let's go there. Okay, so you talked about family time. So what are some things that you do with your family, either just you and the boys or just you and the wife, that's like a consistent thing that they can look forward to, that like, hey, on the weekends, this is our thing. Like we do movies or a certain food. Like, do you have anything like that?
Yeah, man. And for a while there was restaurants because before the business, like we didn't go out to eat that much, and then we just kind of overdid it, and the boys actually weren't looking forward to it. Like, I don't want to go out to eat, you know. And so I was like, okay. And that was never the main thing. That was something that kind of happened and then it fizzled out. But the biggest thing is just like, so I have 3 sons, is just adventuring, right? And so fishing is a big one. I love fishing, and so fishing. I live in a lake town, so there's like just getting out on the lake, paddleboarding. Just there, it's not necessarily a thing. It's just going on an adventure, right? And finding like seeing that, okay, with my 3 young sons, anything's an adventure with dad. You know, it's just like, let's go flip rocks and see what's under them, or let's go like literally like, and they love it. You know, we're gonna ride our bike, and like it was winter time, and I don't know if I should have done this, but like they were pretty young. I was like, okay, the sun's going down. There's a bunch of snow. We're going to go out by the lake, see if we can start a fire with all the things. Like, we're just going to find our own stuff, start a fire. We're going to cook food on it over at night. You know, and it was just like, that's what we're going to do. And it was,
They probably were like, whoa.
yeah. And they thought it was like, and we like, I got like my hunting pack and all of our stuff. We got all the supply, all the, you know, the hatchet. We're out there. It was pretty illegal what we were doing. So like in hindsight, like it was not a place to do that. But I was like, I've done it a couple of times. It's like, this is like a park. Like, I can't do this at a park.
It's probably not a good idea.
But just that's the big thing for me and the boys, and Rochelle too. She likes to get out and do stuff. Is it's not a thing. It's just, let's go out and explore. Let's go do something. And then with me and my wife, morning coffees, workout anytime. We're great workout partners, so work out anytime we can, and then try to get the date nights in.
Okay, cool. All right. So I got another one for you. So I guess it's not hindsight yet, but when you get done, because I'm sure at some point you may either pivot, you may say, I want to do something else, or you do this long enough and you retire early. What would you hope that this does like for your boys? Like, is there something you're trying to leave? Do you want them to take over? Have you even thought that far? Like, what do you think about that piece?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So I got a lot of experience in the other side of that, being the son that someone was trying to leave something to. And it was actually the family business I was in before was started by my grandpa. My dad took it over, and I was going to be the 3rd generation of it. And what I learned from that is your son, like there's a high chance that you're providing this amazing opportunity for them, right? And that's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to build a business and be like, hey, like you can just walk right into this and this great opportunity. But for me, it was just like I didn't feel like I earned anything. I was born into it. I was doing a good job. I worked really hard, and I was like really helping the business, but I didn't earn it. And as soon as I became a man and I had a family, it's just like I need to like go hunt my own food, right? I need to earn this myself. And if I had done that for a period, then came back, because my brother, he went off, did some other stuff, then he came back. Now he's going to take it over. That would have been a lot more satisfying, because I went off, and I went off in the world and figured my stuff out. So I think the biggest thing I learned in that was just let this business be an example. And if they ever want to be a part of it, they have to come to me, but they have to have tried something else, right? Like I'm not gonna let, like, I started when I was, I don't know, like maybe 15 or 16, and I'm not gonna let them do it when it's that early. If they want to be part of this business, they need to at least try to start their own business, and I'll mentor them in that. And then, if they've done that, and they could maybe be a part of it, but it's not going to be something that is just like, hey, here's like a place for you. And I think, and I don't know if it's like that for everyone, but it backfired big time with me and my dad. So yeah, I had the urge to do my own thing, and just went out, did my own thing. Now I'm doing that. And so
I like that. I didn't think about it from that perspective, because I mean, essentially, you're like, I grew up doing it, it's cool, but versus, hey, they could have tried other things. Now they know for certain, yeah, this is what I want to do, and they're coming in with a lot more conviction and willingness to earn and grow. I think that's a dope. I never thought about it like that.
well, also it's just like,
Oh, battery, keep going.
it depends on the personality too of, like, I think I had the personality where I just really always wanted to like prove myself to myself, where it's just like, yeah, I'm excelling in this business, but like the whole thing I did with my boys, like, can we go out in the dead of winter? There's a ton of snow. We have no supplies besides a hatchet and something to start. And can we start a fire? Right? Like, I want to do it just to prove to myself,
Right.
and my experience, that I can do it. And so how I've always looked at stuff. So when you have that kind of personality, and I'm sure at least one of my three boys will have that personality, I don't want them to be in the situation where they're regretting never getting out and proving it to themselves, if they want to. So therefore, if they want it, they gotta come to me. But first they gotta go find out. They gotta mess around and find out, like what do they want to, who are they? What do they want to be? But I hope, and at the bare minimum, maybe it's not the company, but the lessons from the company they take on, and they learn, and they teach their kids from it.
All right, you jump in the head. So lessons, let's talk about that. What has being a business owner, like 2 or 3 things that being a business owner has taught you about yourself?
Oh, dude, so many. Oh gosh. Tell me about myself. I'd say, the biggest thing is that I was very impatient. Like, great things take time, and just anything, man, like fitness, you're working out, like, you're not gonna be in the best shape tomorrow. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta stick to it, have consistency, and have discipline. And then when you're there, you gotta keep doing it, So I think the biggest thing, I've just always been go, go, go. And I've learned to slow down and appreciate the journey rather than strive for the destination. Because that road to, say, anyone wanting to get to like 50K per month and you're starting out, for me, it was like, I was mad I wasn't where I want to be. I wasn't at the goal. But those months in between are full of 20, 30, 40K months, right?
Which are still life-changing, by the way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's just, at one time I was just like, what am I so upset about? Like, I'd like this, the road to that success that I'm striving for is just full of these like fantastic, like this fantastic life, So just like slowing down, being patient. And I think it helps when you get older too. I was when you're younger, you're just like, yeah, let's go. So I think that's a big one. And I think another one taught me about myself is focus, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are creators. You like to create, you like to expand, and you like to move on, right? And so
That's fair.
but in order to do that, you have to have focus on what you're creating right now, And so, like, it kind of goes in with patience, like that lack of patience I had, lack of focus, where once you learn how to make money online, all of a sudden, it's not like, how can I make money online? It's like, oh, I know like 100 ways to make money online. Which way am I going to choose and focus on and be patient? Right. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And because you can't do all of them, and
Only so many hours in a day.
exactly. Yeah. So like having that patience, and I'd say that leads into family, being a father and husband, and just, okay, like I gotta slow my personality down a little bit and just focus on different things rather than do everything and everything's right now. Right. So I'd say those are the top two things. One more thing.
Okay. Keep going.
Those are the top two. The third is, man, it is true. Money does not buy happiness. Like, just because you make a lot of money does not mean, I think a lot of people, when they're starting out, they're like, looking at those people, they're posting, I'm making this much per month. Like, they just think like everything's amazing. And a lot of things are easier, like when you start doing well in business. But if that was your why, if that was your main driver, like there's no end to money, right? Like the more success you have, the more opportunity comes and the easier it becomes to make money. And there's no end. Like you never stop making money, right? If you want to. So then if that is your main thing, if you're like, man, I want this money, it's just this pit that doesn't get full, right? And so I've learned to really like redefine success. And
Well, how do you define
like, well, yeah. So like one of the ways is like, like me spending hours a day with my kids is worth more than tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like, so like that, if I can set my business up in that way, which requires hiring, which requires costs, but I am able to spend more time with my kids, that time produced is way more successful to me than the money produced, right? And I'm willing to sacrifice that money, or willing to sacrifice the opportunity to make more money. That's a big one, right? Like there's so many opportunities out there once you start like rolling. I'm willing to sacrifice that opportunity, or say maybe down the road, right? Because I know that opportunity is going to bring more success, but that's going to bring more of my time I have to put into it. So I'm going to sacrifice that now while I have this young family, because that is the bigger success to me right now. That's probably actually the biggest lesson I've learned is that, like, man, if you got kids, anyone watching this, if you got kids, like, spend the time with them, because you can make money your whole life, right? But the kids are grown up. Like my kids already want to hang out with friends, I'm just like, it's dad time. What are you talking about? Like,
that's not the coolest anymore.
I know, it's already happening, man. And it's just like, dude, as soon as it started happening with my oldest, it's like, oh man, I got to change the way I'm doing this. Like, I'm not missing this, like, so that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
That was a lot of gems in there. I hope y'all caught those. I had to type this down. Appreciate the journey instead of focusing on arriving at the destination. And I think, like you said, like money's never ending. Like, because I can even remember, like in my case, I remember, and this is back when I was working corporate, I'm like, oh, because I think I started out, I was making like 35 maybe. And I'm like, man, if we could ever get to 50, we bought. Then, you get 50 and you like, well, if I need to 65, then you get to 70. So like you said, you're going to keep moving the goalposts, because you can always find a reason to want more, versus I think the way you describe success, you have to figure out like, what is success for me? And to your point, it's like, hey, I have a young family. So success to me is being able to create as many memories as possible. Like in my case, like right after we get through this podcast, I wasn't going to do it, but they want to go see the new Little Mermaid movie. So I'm like, you know what? I could not go, and they'd understand that is working. But if I do go, that probably changes their whole day, and and went with us, and oh, Dad, that was the best movie ever, and oh, thank you for So to your point, like, hey, I know financially we're good, so that's why I have a team. Like that's why we have systems and processes and all this these high tech stacks so that we can do that. And knowing us, we're not going to do nothing but just work later once they go to sleep to make up for the time anyway. But that was some good stuff. All right, let me get you out of here. So last question before, of course, you tell people about yourself. Last question. If you could go back to senior year camp, what are some things that you would tell them? Like, all right, that you looking at them and you would say, Cameron, I know that you think, but.
Dude, oh yeah. I've thought about this a lot, and especially in the coaching industry. So I would say, Cameron, I know you think like the path you're on is a comfortable, successful path, but start a business. Like I cannot like I wish I would have had this, which is so hard at that age, but I wish I would have gotten into starting a business, even going through college. Like everything is flipped, right? So back before all these internet businesses, to do really well, you had to go through college, you had to climb the corporate ladder,
Right.
to later in life have the big success, right? It's kind of in the online world. Your early young years are the easiest times to make big bucks because you don't have a family yet and you have crazy amounts of energy.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you got a family and you're in your 30s, it's like, I don't know if I want to grind like that anymore.
Right.
So it's like rather than like putting in your dues in the front end and then later in life make a lot of money, it's like, no, it's the opposite now. Like if you don't miss this time where you are full of energy, you are just like, let's rock and roll, and you don't have most cases, very many responsibilities.
Right.
Like college, awesome, go to college. But start a business, like start understanding it's a learning process. And you can get all that out of the way. You can grow this huge business, this success, and then move into having a family. And then think of the time. Imagine if we did this in our early 20s and we had these thriving multi-6-figure, 7-figure businesses
Right.
already in place. What would our family life look like? Right.
Probably.
Yeah, dude. So that's like with my boys. That's what I mean. I hope this teaches them a lesson. So it's like, hey, like I'm gonna support you in whatever you do, if it's as long as it's positive. But you want to go this path, now's the time to do it. Like the opportunity a young man or woman has when they're young is insane, and it will set up the rest of their life like so well, right? So that's what I would say to myself is ditch comfort, and 20s are for the grind. And I told myself, I started when I was 27, and I kept telling myself like 20s for the hustle, 20s are for the hustle. And then 30s are for building, so like I hustled in my 20s, the tail end of my 20s, now I'm building. And I'd say just hustle and grind, start the business.
That's good. I mean, dang, that sounds like, yeah. And even there's a lot of gold in that one. Like you said, just do it. And it's, dang, that's scary because that's what it was for me. Like when I started, I think I was 28. Man, those first 2 years, I was all over the place, driving all over Atlanta, trying to get myself out there versus basically, yeah, I think when I turned 30, it was how can I be more strategic? How can I spend my time in the right areas to produce the most? Because like you said, at that point, okay, I got 2 kids now and they're young, and you try not to put as much on your spouse, and you still want to be a great parent and all. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay. We could probably go on for another hour. I'm not going to do that to you because I know you're busy. So before you go, tell the people, how can they get in touch with you if they need services, if they just want to connect, pick your brain, book you for more speaking engagements? How can they do that?
Yeah. So best way to get a hold of me is on Facebook. That's where I spend most of my time. That's where we're coaching bookkeepers, accountants. It's all on Facebook. So just find me on Facebook, send me a message. I'll get back to you. If you're a bookkeeper, accountant, tax pro, that you want to learn, okay, how do you do this marketing? Awesome. Let me know. If you're a marketing agency or a coaching firm, consulting firm, same thing. That's kind of like a side business I do. It's more of like my passion project, where kind of the side is just like, well, I know how to do this. I know the exact formula. Like, teach some other people how to do it. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, just send me a message as well. Or if you just want to chat, you want somebody to bounce some ideas off of, just send me a message. I'm always happy just to chat, even if it's not about working together. Just, answer any questions that I can and give any value that I can.
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate having you. I mean, you dropped so many gems about redefining success, about the importance of spending time with your kids while they're young, about grinding early and then transitioning to building as you continue to get older and wiser, and surrounding yourself with a better support team, trying to be reciprocal with your spouse and uplifting them and affirming them. So thank you so much for all the gems you dropped. Again, if you guys want to get in touch with him, he literally said it. Send him a message on Facebook. Tell him the website. Maybe they want to go check that out. How they get to you?
Website's www.apex-methods.com.
All right. So there you go. So if you're in the US, I mean, I can tell you, the guy's going to help you make money. You got to do the work, but he's going to be there to answer a question, give you the support you need and all of that. So y'all definitely go check him out. Again, this is Legacy's Journey. We appreciate y'all. We have many episodes. We just have so much coming. So of course, stay tuned. Make sure you share this with a buddy. If you love this, make sure you leave some comments. Let us know. Hey, I enjoyed when Cameron said this, or dang, I never thought about that perspective, and how you can maybe even utilize that for you and yourself going forward. So again, Cameron, thank you so much for everything, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode.
Thanks for having me, man.